Okay guys, so we're back as part of our Digital Youth Festival and we're joined today by our community guard, Adam Nolan. Adam, thanks a million for joining us today.
No bother, Paul, glad to be here.
Thank you, and we're going to get Adam in a minute to talk about the JLO system in the country, and a lot of young people coming in that we chat to think they understand it but don't really understand it or have half a grasp of it. So today we're going to kind of clear up and give the right information. First of all, we just acknowledge that the Youth Project and the community guards have a great relationship, and there's a lot of time when people see you guys walking into the centre they think it's a terrible thing or somebody's in trouble or something bad has happened, and that's generally not the case. So generally what we do with the community guards is we chat about trends and behaviours in the area that I guess are concerning, that enable us by having those chats to provide the best service from our perspective and from the guards' perspective to young people in the area. So sometimes we do talk about specific young people, and that is generally with a view to keeping them out of trouble, I think is fair to say, Adam, and keeping them away from trouble with the law. Is that fair to kind of say?
Absolutely, Paul. Yeah, we over the years, I suppose, the community guards in Bray have built up a rapport and a relationship with yourself and Adam, and we do knock in from time to time, sometimes just for a general chit chat, and sometimes it could be maybe about a youth that's maybe gotten in a little bit of trouble with the guards down in Bray, and we've come in to discuss it with you and Adam. So
it's a very positive thing, I think, that we have the positive relationship with you guys, and long may it continue. But in regards to the JLO system, Adam, how does it currently work?
Yeah, so there's a couple of grey areas over the JLO, and even this morning when I was talking to you, I had to obviously ask a couple of questions to Garda clear the JLO in Bray Garda Station. So how does the JLO work? It's quite simple. So a youth gets in trouble with the guards and is arrested and brought down to the Garda Station. And because he or she is a youth, when they're released, they have to be released into the care of their mother or father or legal guardian. Okay, so a referral has to be created on that incident, whether it be a theft, public order, criminal damage. A referral has to be created, and our district officer, or in other words our superintendent, will approve that referral. And once that referral is approved, we then have to get in contact with the National Juvenile Office, where a suitability report is done up for that youth in question. So once the superintendent approves the referral, it's sent forward to the National Juvenile Office to see is the person in question suitable. And no matter how many times this juvenile has gotten in trouble, a suitability report is necessary in all cases.
Right.
Whether it's the first time he's gotten in trouble or she's gotten in trouble, or the 10th time, it doesn't matter. A suitability report is needed in every case. So, long story short, really, it'll come back. If the youth has been in trouble numerous times, more than likely it'll come back as unsuitable.
Right.
And therefore, you proceed by a summons, you proceed by a charge, or you might have to do a file on the person in question.
Right.
So that's basically how it works.
Yeah.
If he or she hasn't come to Garda attention, more than likely, if it's a minor offence, they will be brought into the station to see Garda clear, along with their mother, father or guardian, and they will receive a juvenile caution.
Yeah.
Rather than going down
the
road of the court road.
Yeah.
The court road is last resort for a juvenile that has only come to Garda attention maybe on a handful of occasions. We'll try to keep them out of court, and we'll go down the road of the juvenile caution.
So that is really the aim of the juvenile system, is to keep a young person away from court as long as possible, I guess. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And how many juvenile cautions are you allowed? Another grey area. I suppose in the unfortunate circumstances where a juvenile has never come to Garda attention, but the first time they've come to Garda attention, if it's a serious offence, they won't be able to avail of the juvenile caution
system,
if it's the juvenile system. Yeah. If it's a bad assault, if they were maybe caught with a substantial amount of drugs, if they damaged property to the value of thousands of euros. So they might be allowed avail of a juvenile caution. They probably find themselves in court, even though they would have never come to Garda attention before.
So it kind of depends on the severity of the crime.
Depends on the severity of the crime.
Yeah, and that was another thing I had written down here. There's a lot of young people who think it's a 3 strikes and you're out system, which isn't necessarily the case.
It's not necessarily the case. You could end up getting 6 or 7 JLOs before you go to court.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to people now as a
go out
and cause mayhem, but
yeah.
you could end up getting 5 or 6 juvenile cautions for minor offences, and the 7th time you might end up in court. But having said that as well, if your first crime is a serious crime, you probably will end up going to court.
Straight to court.
But if your second and third and fourth offence are minor offences, you can still avail of the JLO
For those offences?
For those offences.
Okay, yeah.
Even though you would have ended up in court
for the first one.
For the first one.
Yeah.
For the second, third and fourth, if they're small offences, you can avail of the JLO.
Oh, I get you. The last couple of years, Adam, I think the introduction of curfews has come in, and I think that's a new enough thing. Is it a big thing if a young person is caught breaking a curfew, or how is that kind of handled?
Yeah, I suppose, first of all, they would have to be before the courts, because there's a court order from the judge. The investigating Garda will look for bail conditions, and one of the main bail conditions is a curfew. If the juvenile in question is continuously breaching his bail by, I suppose, breaching his curfew, an arrest warrant can be got in the courts by that guard, and the guard can look to revoke the bail,
right,
and look to get that person in custody.
Gotcha.
That's how it works. So number one, the guard can go and get an arrest warrant for that juvenile, or secondly, the guard can wait till the juvenile's next court date, and that guard can have 4 or 5 of his colleagues lined up to give evidence of those breaches of curfew.
Gotcha.
So that's how it works.
Yeah. We have a lot of our young people now that want to travel. The objective is to finish school and go and travel, or do college and take your qualification, whether it be a trade or whatever. Which, if you have a dodgy year, 13, 14 years of age, and you rack up a couple of these juvenile cautions, they get wiped if you get to 18, or how does that affect? Because we know criminal records going into the likes of America and Australia and Canada, where young people want to go, is a big thing. So how does that work?
Yeah, again, juvenile cautions are not seen as criminal convictions. They're not previous convictions on your record. So once you get to 18, those cautions are wiped from your record. So I suppose as a 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old that would have gotten in trouble with the law, once they get to 18, they want to go on the J1, they want to go travelling. Does this deter them from going? Does this stop them? No, because they're only cautions and not convictions. Yeah. So that's not, there's no stumbling block there, really. Yeah.
Adam, you as a person, sometimes people forget that there's a person behind the uniform. You've been in the Guards for a long time now. Would you recommend it as a career to young people?
Yeah, but I've been in Bray since September 2008, so I'm here 12 years. I love Bray. I've built up a lot of good relationships with my colleagues, and obviously people in the community in Bray as well, both young and old. So I would recommend it. Loads of variety. You can be a community guard, a traffic guard, a drugs guard, a detective, a JLO. So you have loads of variety.
Yeah.
And people don't realise that when you go into the guards, you can go into the area that you're most suited for. Okay, it might take some time because you have to learn the trade when you come out of Templemore first. But I would recommend it, I really like it, and you get to spend a lot of your time outdoors as well. Yeah.
And the basic training, what does it involve?
When I was in Templemore, it was 13 months. So you spent phase 1, 3 and 5 in Templemore, and phase 2 and 4 out. Which it was very, I suppose, all over the place, to be honest, because you're in, out. But now the recruits do 6 months in Templemore, learning the legislation, and once you finish your 6 months, you're out. You get your Garda station and you're out. And you're learning your trade then. No matter what you learn in Templemore, no matter what legislation you learn, you really only learn it when you come out into the big bad world. No matter what station you get. So it's 6 months now, and then you're out. And that's the way that's the best way.
The best way is to kind of learn as you go.
Learn as you go.
Yeah. The most rewarding part of the job for you?
Most rewarding part of the job, I like helping people, both young and old.
Yeah.
I suppose we're going through an extraordinary time at the minute. For the last 3 or 4 months, and as a community guard I've had to help a lot of elderly people, which I suppose I would have been more involved with the younger people as a community guard, but now over the last 12 or 14 weeks I've had a major role in helping the elderly who are cocooning and didn't have family living close by, so I was obviously doing a lot of shopping and prescriptions and pensions for the elderly people. That was quite rewarding over the last 12 or 14 weeks, because it was an eye-opener for me to see how reliant they were maybe on the guards to help them in a time of need.
Yeah.
So it's just basically helping people. I suppose when people see the guards, they reckon that we're here to enforce the law.
Yeah.
But we're not. We're here to help people is our number one role.
Community support.
Yeah.
For people that don't know you, you represent your country at the Olympics as a boxer. How was that, represent your country? Was it the London Olympics you were at? Yeah.
The London Olympics 8 years ago now, in a couple of weeks. Has flown by. I was part of the boxing club here for 8 years. Really loved it. I suppose the Olympics is every athlete's goal.
Yeah.
And really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed obviously training with Katie Taylor, probably the greatest athlete this land has seen. So I really enjoyed the Olympic Games, and it's probably only now that I'm looking back on it that I can appreciate.
That you appreciate how great it was.
Yeah.
And we sometimes do this, we get to know you a little bit better before we go. Do you prefer Burger King or McDonald's?
Oh, McDonald's.
McDonald's, Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Chicken or beef?
Chicken.
Soccer or rugby?
Or soccer.
Gaelic football or hurling? That's going to be a big one for you.
Oh, hurling all day.
Hurling. If you had a choice, would you go to the USA or Australia?
I've been to the States a few times, luckily enough, so I'd love to go to Australia.
You have to go to Australia.
Yeah.
Do you prefer dogs or cats?
Or dogs.
Do you say glass half empty or glass half full?
Glass half full.
Glass half full.
Most of the time.
Yeah. Brussels sprouts, yes or no?
No way.
No way. And do you prefer summer or winter?
Summer.
Summer. Thanks a million, Adam, for joining us. That's been Adam Nolan, our community guard here for the Ballywalter Merley and for Bray. If you want to contact Adam, you can get him at Bray Garda Station. And thanks a million for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks a million. Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.